Alright, so in the first game on Sunday, we're going to have the Minnesota Vikings, shout out to Lizzo. They're going to go on the road and to the Superdome and play the New Orleans Saints. I believe that game tips off at 12, and the line for that game is going to be Saints minus 7.5. Now, for those of you guys new to betting or who just flat don't bet for whatever reasons, anytime a team's given more than a touchdown in points to lay, it's typically one of those you want to stay away from. When I think over a touchdown favorite, I think the Ravens playing the Bengals or the Ravens playing the Dolphins, or I think about the Chiefs playing, a bottom feeder team like the Cardinals or something like that. So those are normally big red flags to stay away from unless you're just positively sure that the Saints are that much better than Minnesota. And initially, I would tend to agree with you and say, take that bet. But after doing a little bit of research and just seeing how banged up the Saints are coming into this game, I can't go. I can't go for it. You look at the Saints' defensive line. Marcus Davenport, been balling all year. Gets hurt, season-ending injury. Sheldon Rankins going to be out for this game. I believe he has a season-ending injury as well. So that's already 2 starting D linemen that you don't have, which means Minnesota can do more game planning for just Cam Jordan and trying to neutralize him instead of having to worry about both ends, Cam Jordan and Davenport. You only have to worry about one now. With that said, I don't think the Saints will lose by any means. I don't trust Kirk Cousins in the big moments with the bright lights on, everybody watching you. But I think he's good enough to keep it within a touchdown game. Because you got to think about it. Even if they lose 31-24, that's only 7 points. Minnesota covers. And I think with the addition of Dalvin Cook coming back, they can make this game ugly and slow if they need to. I'm not a huge fan of the Saints' pass defense. I think it's a little boosted. And you're going to have a rookie safety out there in Gardner Johnson. He's been good all year. But at the same time, this is his first playoff game. And you're having to cover the likes of Kyle Rudolph up the middle, with the outsides being Thielen and Diggs. That's a hell of an introduction to playoffs for you. You look at Lattimore, he'll take one. I don't trust Eli Apple with anything. I wouldn't trust him. No, I literally wouldn't trust him with anything. So I doubt he can cover Thielen if they put him on Thielen. I believe that the Saints are better. They're the better team. They have the better offense, more potent, things like that. But I don't think they're more than a touchdown better. I think the defenses are a wash. Maybe a slight edge to the Saints, but not enough of an edge for me to say they're 10 points or 8 points or anything like that better. So I would tend to lean towards Minnesota covering those 7.5. I would pick the Saints to win the game. If I had to give a score prediction, it would be something like Saints, I think they get to 30. 31, Minnesota 24, like I said. Maybe even 30-24. I just believe that Drew Brees is better than Kirk Cousins, fact. I believe that Michael Thomas is the best player on the field, fact. But I don't believe that Minnesota and Kirk Cousins are incapable of keeping up with them in terms of a playoff game where games get a little more gritty, a little slower. I don't believe that Minnesota is outmatched by any means. So I would take Minnesota to cover that 7.5 points, and I think you should too. And now the last game of the weekend also feels like the hardest one to gauge. You have the Seahawks against the Eagles. Both teams are just absolutely devastated by injuries. Seahawks had to bring back Marshawn Lynch because their top 2 running backs on the depth chart are hurt. And then if you look at the Eagles, they have no Aguilar, no Jeffrey, no Deshaun Jackson. Ertz was hurt the last game, so they're devoid of weapons as well. So this game is very hard to gauge. If you were telling me bet over under, I think the number is 45.5. I'm definitely saying slam the under. Because if you look at the first game this year, the game they played this year against each other, it was 17-9, and it was really 17-3 until the very, very end. The Eagles scored like a meaningless touchdown. So I would say slam the under if that's a bet you want to do. In terms of points, the Seahawks are favored by 1.5 as of Friday. And I mean, everything's telling me take the Seahawks. Conventional wisdom says Russell Wilson's more experienced in the playoffs, which he is. He's had the better season. You know, team for team, I would probably slightly give the edge to the Seahawks. But I think momentum is a big thing in football, especially, and I think the Eagles are hot right now. They've won their last 4 games to get into the playoffs. Each of those games feeling like a playoff game. I think if you pick the 10 best players on the field, I think the Eagles at least get 4 of them. So I don't think they're outmatched by any means. I think that home field matters, and even though Russell Wilson is a great road quarterback, I just don't know if I trust the rest of those guys. DK Metcalf, this is his first playoff game, and he's expected to be a number 1 receiver. Carson Wentz is also his playoff debut, so if you want to throw that back at me, I get it. And conventional wisdom is telling me to take the Seahawks. So that's what I'm going to do. Come on, bro. Y'all, I'm not stupid, y'all. I'm taking the Seahawks to win this game, and I'm taking them to cover that 1.5 point. I see the score being 20-17. It's just going to be a really ugly, gritty, 1980s type football game. But I do see, maybe a last-second field goal, Jason Myers. Maybe even, they go up by 10 and Philly scores a touchdown late, kind of how the first game of the season, or the first time they played each other went. But I just can't bet against Russell Wilson. It's very hard to. So I would say if you had to put your money on anything in this game, put it on the under. But if you did want to go team for team, I would say pick Seattle and pick them to cover that 1.5 points that they're favored by, because I think they can do it. And I think they are. When times get tough, they have a Super Bowl winning quarterback, Super Bowl winning coach, and they're a great road team. I'm a betting man, so I like to, give little tips and provide information on why you should bet what I see out there. So I'm gonna keep doing these videos as the playoffs go along. We're gonna get back into our basketball bag soon for sure. It's been a little rocky road of a season this year, but once these football playoffs finish, we'll get into our basketball bag. Don't worry. Thank you guys for watching. Consistent content all 2020. Let's get it.